And Ayn Rand, more than anyone else, did a fantastic job of explaining the morality of capitalism, the morality of individualism. And this, to me, is what matters most.
I'd like to share a few excerpts from one of my favorite books, Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. Now let me encourage any of you who have not read Atlas Shrugged to go tomorrow, buy Atlas Shrugged and read it.
Yes, what is self-sacrifice? You say that you do not like the altruism by which we live. You like a certain kind of Ayn Randist selfishness.
I would say that I don't like is too weak a word. I consider evil. But now as to the Indians, I don't even care to discuss that kind of alleged complaints that they have against this country. I do believe, with serious scientific reasons, the worst kind of movie that you have probably seen, worst from the Indian viewpoint, as to what they did to the white men. I do not think that they had any right to live in a country merely because they were born here and acted and lived like savages. I would go further. Let's suppose they were all beautifully innocent savages, which they certainly were not. What was it that they were fighting for if they opposed white men on this continent? For their wish to continue a primitive existence, their right to keep part of the earth untouched, unused, and not even a property, but just keep everybody out so that you will live practically like an animal, or maybe a few caves about it. Any white person who brings the element of civilization have the right to take over this country.
If you think that's bad, wait till you get a load of her admiration for William Edward Hickman. Well, who's William Hickman? He was a serial killer, literally. Now first, this is pretty tough stuff, but let me describe to you what Hickman did to a 12-year-old girl, and then we'll tell you what Ayn Rand thought of that. Here's Michael Prescott's description of how it went down at the time. At the end of the street, Marion, who was a 12-year-old girl, Marion's corpse was dumped onto the pavement. That's by William Hickman. She was dead. Her legs had been chopped off and her eyes had been wired open to appear as if she was still alive. Her internal organs had been cut out and pieces of her body were later found strewn all over the Los Angeles area. Here's what William Hickman apparently said about that crime and others. Quote, "What is good for me is right." Now, what did Ayn Rand say about William Hickman and that philosophy? Quote, "It was the best and strongest expression of a real man's psychology I have heard."
I'd like to know your opinion on the United States' foreign policy and what is happening in the Middle East right now.
If you mean whose side should one be on, Israel or the Arabs, I would certainly say Israel because it's the advanced, technological, civilized country amidst a group of almost totally primitive savages.
Do you believe that there is going to be a day where there's going to be a female in the White House as president? And how do you feel about that?
I wouldn't vote for her.
You would or wouldn't?
Would not.
You would not?
No.
Why not?
For many reasons.
Guys.
Would you not vote for her because she was a woman, even if she were better qualified than any man?
If we had followed that law, I might. I don't believe that any good woman would want that position.
And then if a man is weak or a woman is weak, then he is beyond love?
He certainly does not deserve it. He certainly is beyond.
There are very few of us then in this world, by your standards, who are worthy of love.
Unfortunately, yes, very few.
The newest proposals of having special millions spent on subnormal children and on the handicapped, including those so-called kneeling buses, is the attempt to bring everybody to the level of the handicapped. And if it's merely an issue of physical handicap like a broken leg, which doesn't affect the mind, that would be a little more excusable. So I don't believe that such privileges should be granted to any group. But it includes the mentally retarded, which is the subnormal, the children who are unable to learn, so that at the end of spending thousands or millions of taxpayers' money, you're left with a half-idiot who may learn to read and write. May.